Sorry to keep you all waiting. Good afternoon, IWF Book Club friends. We are so happy to have over 200 people registered for this event today. We're so glad that you could join us for our third book club. I'm Amber Schwartz from Independent Women's Forum, and I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Ashley McClay and Andy Botner. The next hour is going to be fun, so get engaged with as we discuss new publication written by Senator Joni Ernst, daughter of the Heartland, My Ode to the Country That Raised Me. And the most exciting part of today is that the senator is actually going to join us live in just a few moments to discuss the book and answer any questions from some of you. Before we invite her up on stage, though, I'm going to kick it over to Ashley, who's just going to share a bit about how the virtual event platform we're using works. And we want you to engage in chat, ask a question, or even join us up on stage if you feel like it, to participate in the discussion later on. So with that, over to you, Ashley.
Thanks, Amber. Hi, guys. Very quickly, I'm Ashley, and here's some information on how our virtual platform works. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen, there's a chat room tab. If you do not see the chat field, you can select the caret in the top right corner to open the chat window. We encourage you to join the chat discussion, but remember, everyone can see the chat, so let's try to keep it friendly. I know that won't be hard with this crowd. When the senator joins us, she wants to hear from all of you. Next to the chat room tab, there's a questions tab. If you have a question for the senator, please post it in the questions tab. Doing this will make sure that we can see your questions rather than it getting lost in the chat room. And it'll be more likely that we'll be able to ask the question to the senator. After the senator signs off, we're going to continue the discussion and we ask some of you to come up on stage with us. Ask your questions on video, live. If you want to do this, please leave a capital V. Once again, that's a capital V at the end of your question to signal that you want to come up here on stage in the chat room with us. We've learned with past book clubs that you need a strong Wi-Fi and preferably a computer to have a seamless experience by joining by video. We will also be posting live polls in the polls tab. Please take a look and respond. With that, I'm going to lead it back. I think we have one more, towards the end of this discussion today, we will be drawing and announcing names for three autographed copies of Daughter of a Heartland as a door prize for our book club members. You must be present during the drawing to get one, so don't miss your chance. And with that, I'm going to toss it back to Amber.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ashley. So now that we have all the technical stuff out of the way, we're so thrilled that we have the opportunity to hear from the senator today. So everyone, join me in welcoming her to the stage. And there could be a little delay, so let's just give her a minute to join us. There she is.
Hello, ladies. Thank you so much.
Hi, Senator. Thank you so much for joining.
Of course, it's great to be with you and the Independent Women's Forum. Thank you for reading my book. I'm so excited to talk about it.
Yeah, we really look forward to hearing from you. It was a fantastic book, and I know there's a lot of people on today that are excited to hear from you. Also, Senator Ernst, Independent Women's Forum is a big fan of yours. I think you know that. We absolutely also love your staff. You have a great team, and I think that speaks volumes for you as a person because you've surrounded yourself with truly smart, loyal, and good people. And I think that's so important to stay on course. So I just wanted to give a shout out to your staff too.
Thank you. And they are so worth it. And I, as well, am a huge fan of the Independent Women's Forum. And you have helped me with so many different issues, and hearing from your members and guidance on federal level policies, just very important, making sure that we're supporting our women, supporting our families. And I value your opinions.
Thank you. So just so you know, if we can launch into this discussion, I read the first quarter of your book, and then I switched over to you reading it to me.
Oh.
And I must say that you have a wonderful speaking voice. And I actually enjoyed listening to you while I was sitting on the beach. So I enjoyed listening to your book very much. It really does have all the elements of a great story that you can't put down. It has love, tragedy, loss, bravery, strength, grit, of course, and triumph. It's definitely an inspirational book, and I'm sure everyone on here agrees with me.
Thank you.
So I think we're going to take some questions from the audience for you to answer, but while Ashley and Andy look for those, I'd love to first ask you the obvious question, which was, what was your motivation for writing this book? You said in your book that you're generally private, and I am too, and I get that, but I imagine it wasn't easy for you to do. But what ultimately made you decide to write the book and share your story with the world?
No, thank you. And it was really hard for me to do. Now, what happened several years ago, of course, I was going through a very public, very hurtful divorce. And in the course of that divorce, there were court documents that were brought out by a very enterprising reporter. And it detailed some of the issues that I had had in my marriage with my former husband. And through that, I had a number of women and even men that came up to me after events and would say, Joni, I can't believe, you went through domestic violence, infidelity. And yet here you are today. You went on to serve as a battalion commander. You became a United States Senator. And they said more people should hear about this. And so I did take that to heart, and I decided I would go ahead and share some of those painful journeys of my life, but understanding that, I did make it through some of the most painful things and have gone on to find great joy in my lifetime. And yeah, I think the message overall, I'm so proud of who I am and where I came from. The things that I've driven through have gone on to become successful, but a clear message that I want all of the viewers today to understand is that all of us will go through different challenges in our lifetime. The difference is we can choose whether we allow to be defined by those challenges or whether we are going to define ourselves. And I choose to define myself. I don't want to let those challenges rule my life. So I've driven through those, and I would just encourage others that are experiencing hardship, drive through them. You will find joy.
Yeah, it's inspirational. Well, thank you so much for that, Senator Ernst. I think I'm gonna toss it over to Ashley. Ashley, if you're ready, whether you have a question or perhaps a question from the audience.
Yeah, thanks, Amber.
Sure.
Thank you, Senator, very much for being on today. I found your book very inspirational, and as a locally elected female woman in Washington, D.C., I garnered a lot of lessons from your book. And I know there are many women who are listening today and viewing this. They too are elected either at their PTA, at the local level, their city administrator. I know your first elected office was Montgomery County Auditor, and that was really great to hear. On your path to U.S. Senate, could you talk about what lessons you learned from that position and how that helped you to run and lead in the U.S. Senate?
Thank you. And I found that all elections are local, and you need to understand your population. You need to know what their concerns are, and you need to know how to address those concerns as well. And so running at the local elected office is just so fantastic. I did learn a lot from that. And number one, just working with the public. It's just really important to understand that, when constituents come in, while you may be engaged in 5 other things at the same time, when that constituent is coming in with an issue, they need to know that they are the most important issue. at that time, because whatever is on their mind is very critical. And so you do need to treat people with respect. You need to understand their situation and hopefully find a solution for them. If you can refer them to, where an office might be that they can find a solution, or if you are the one that can come up with a solution, you need to be able to do that. But, really treat others with respect. And I think that's, in today's day and age, wow, just turn on the TV and you can see where I think the nation has slipped a little bit in treating others with respect. But I think that being humble, being respectful, and those local elected positions, just extremely important. But the knowledge that you gain through that experience is just incredible. And it really helped me be successful then as I then ran for higher elected office, the state Senate, and then into the United States Senate. But remembering every election is local. Every election is local.
So true.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Senator Ernst, this is Andy here,
Sure.
and I have to bring up with you just an arena where you've been such a leader, and it's a difficult topic, controversial topic, but you have led in this arena, I think, with so much grace. And I'm talking about the issues of domestic violence and sexual assault. And I specifically want to really applaud you for bringing up the Violence Against Women Act, your own version, because you saw that what was getting done was not really getting survivors what they need.
Right.
So if you wouldn't mind talking just for a moment about your personal experience and what you take to the legislation that you're leading.
Right. And this is a difficult topic for so many people to express. One, rape, sexual assault. Those are really ugly words. And I wish that we could scrub them completely from, our language. But unfortunately, the situations are out there. And as a young woman, I was raped by my first boyfriend. And, you may not know it now, but as a young woman, I had those thick Coke bottle glasses, the braces, the big permed hair in the 80s. And I was very much a bookworm. And so my experience, dating was just maybe, not what other people's experience was. But I felt so little about myself that, I allowed myself to continually be abused by that boyfriend, thinking that no one else would ever love me. I was not worthy of love, and that's how he treated me. But then going through that abusive, that horribly abusive physical situation, the rape, finally deciding I had to get out of that situation was very, very hard. I eventually went into a marriage with another gentleman that was very similar to that, in that, just demeaning in certain aspects. And it just came to a head with the infidelity, where I dared to speak up about, his activities, and I was physically assaulted with my daughter in her bedroom just a few steps away. And so it was hard, but I loved my husband very much. And I really did believe in the institution of marriage. And so, I thought we could work through it. I didn't want to leave him. And things just really didn't get any better after that. And so going through those situations, I did serve as a volunteer for the crisis line that had assisted me in college after my rape. And having gone through, circumstances with other women as well, I just have a broad understanding of the different emotions and range of emotions that women and men, again, will go through. And we are the only ones that know what is right for us in our own personal situation. But because of that desire to help those women or men in domestic violence situations, or those that have been physically or sexually assaulted, I wanted to make sure that when we do the Violence Against Women Act, that we are getting it right. And what I saw coming out of the House was not focused enough. It wasn't helpful for the women in rural America, where we really lack the resources that our metro counterparts have, and so the House version did not support that. And they had some very different ideas on responding to violence. So I crafted my own version when we failed to come together on a bipartisan agreement in the Senate. So I drafted my own version and did introduce it after Dianne Feinstein introduced the House version in the Senate. And I thought it was important just for us to stand up and say, wow, these are the resources that we need. And we're going to make sure we deliver them, but we're not going to bow down to very radical ideas coming out of the House. What we want is something that works for everyone. It protects our women. It protects those that are most vulnerable. And it reaches beyond the confines of our metro areas and goes into our most rural areas. So what I presented was a very common sense piece of legislation that would offer those protections and resources necessary. I would love to see it move forward, but in an election cycle, Chuck Schumer has made it very clear that any piece of legislation, especially on the Violence Against Women Act, will not move forward as long as it has my name on it. So we'll keep pushing, but for now, Chuck Schumer is very much a roadblock in making sure that we get the resources to those that absolutely need those resources.
Well, thank you for your leadership on that. And I know we'll see you back here a year from now or less, still pushing on legislation like that. So
absolutely. Thank you.
So we have a questions tab going with all the people that are participating today, and I'm seeing one that keeps getting bumped up. And I hadn't thought of this question, but I'm curious to know the answer too. And it's, how did your daughter feel about you writing the book?
She actually was very okay with this, and it was really difficult when we were going through the divorce, her father and I, and just trying to be as calm as I could through that entire process, but it was very hurtful. But she was actually that rock, that stone for me through the process. And when I had to tell her that her father and I were divorcing and that he had found a new love in his life and was going to leave me for her, her initial reaction was, "I'm sorry, Mom." And she said, "Are you okay?" It wasn't, she didn't break down in hysterics. One, she had witnessed some of these things through her lifetime, but she just wanted to know that I would survive. And it was incredible for me because I think Libby was 19, 18 when we were going through this. And for her just to not express her own emotions, but very focused on my health and well-being, it just really showed to me what an incredible young woman she was and how incredibly mature she was. It was very difficult. Then to put some of this into book form, she was okay with it. She was. And I dedicate the book to her and to my mother, the two influencers, female influencers in my life. One was the woman that gave birth to me and provided for me and guided me, but then also the girl that I gave birth to and has grown into an incredible young leader. But to both of them providing support in their own unique ways as I was moving through a very difficult time in my life. And I know it was difficult for them as well, but they were totally on board with the writing of the book. And, my daughter continues to learn and grow from my experiences as well.
Yeah, I recall reading that part in the book. And when she asked how you were, that was her immediate reaction. That brought tears to my eyes. I only hope
I still get misty.
Yeah, I think especially at her age, you can have the tendency to be selfish at that age, but her selflessness was, that was really moving. So congratulations on a great daughter.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
So proud of her.
I think we have time for one more question from the audience. If Ashley, do you want to grab one?
Yeah, I found Debbie R's question to be very poignant. Chapter 8, women's work. You talk a lot about the coffee club that Barbara Mikulski, Senator Mikulski, coordinated, who growing up was my state senator. And I found that chapter to be so compelling, and how you talked about women working together, accomplishing goals. Debbie R. asks, given the current political atmosphere these days, do you still find that women can work together and get things accomplished in a bipartisan atmosphere?
I do. And thanks for the great question, Debbie. I do think that we can do that. And it does take a little different level of thinking. And I'll just share an anecdote that happened just yesterday. As I was on the floor of the Senate, the way women react to things can be different as long as we feel very confident about ourselves than maybe our male peers. And so now, you know, I've made no bones about the fact that Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York and I are very good friends. Now, our politics are very different, but she has been just very supportive of me, especially through my divorce, and just that we talk about our families. You know, we would work out together in the mornings, things like that. But the other day she brought a mask, some of these homemade masks, and it was made out of, she had one of Wonder Woman fabric, and the other was Batgirl fabric. And she's like, here, I have these. Which one would you like? You know, and so she gave me this mask. Well, one of my male colleagues, Republican, was there when she was giving this to me. And I walked out off the Senate floor with my male colleague, and he was so angry. He is like, and you know, she endorsed your opponent and gave her $10,000 out of her leadership PAC. And I said, yeah, she did. And I said, you know what, she'll rue that day, you know, when I win my election again. But you know, it's the difference. I honestly was hurt when she endorsed my opponent. And she was like, and she explained it to me, and I'm grateful that she took the time to explain it to me. Our politics are different, but at the end of the day, you know, she's still a friend. I don't take politics personally, at least I try not to. But I know at the end of the day, I will still be in the Senate come January. I'm going to fight very hard for it. But men, and just my male colleague's reaction, I mean, he was just so angry about it. But I have chosen in my lifetime not to let anger rule me. There are things that I just have to let go of. There are things out of my control. I can't control what somebody else does, but I can control how I react to it. And I think as women, we tend to work very well together. And so even the most liberal members of the Senate, like Elizabeth Warren, I mean, I've actually done a couple pieces of legislation with her. And I think the valuable thing about being women is that we all do have different passions. But when we can find shared passions, we should be working on those things together. And that's where I think we can let go of our egos a little bit, make sure that we're coming together, finding the solutions and driving forward. You know, so what if somebody else's name is first? If I know I'm doing the right thing for my constituents, I'm going to make sure it gets done. So, you know, I will continue to work with these wonderful women of the Senate. I'll disagree when it is absolutely necessary to disagree. And believe me, we disagree a lot. But at the same point, too, when there are accolades to be given, I want to make sure that our women are given the appropriate level of accolades for the work that they are doing. If it's benefiting me and benefiting my constituents, then why would I throw slings and arrows their direction? I don't want to do that. I think we would do much better overall as a nation if we learn to let go of those hurts. Let's focus on the things that are productive and move us forward. If we're moving at least 1-2 steps in the right direction, let's get there. But yeah, I have truly enjoyed working with the women in the Senate, and they're great colleagues. And I will always appreciate the level of respect that's given to all of us when we're standing there on the floor of the Senate.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It really is about the small wins and what you can do to move the goalposts forward. I really liked that you even talked about the poll. You know, men could only use the Senate poll up until 2011, and you guys, you women, the Senate women banded together to be able to have access.
Yeah.
I think we do need to have more bipartisanship and pull those women, you know, get the ego out the door. So thank
That's
you.
right.
Amber?
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ernst, for this wonderful conversation. I think a big takeaway from today and from the book is that a person can overcome obstacles and adversities and succeed in life, and not to let trials define you. You're a perfect testament to that, to rising above, and it's truly inspiring. I'd love for you to end today by, if you have any final thoughts, something you want everyone joining us today to absolutely remember or walk away with.
Yeah, Amber, Ashley, Andy, thank you so much for being such generous hosts. And I want to again thank the Independent Women's Forum for all of the wonderful work that you do on behalf of our women citizens all across this amazingly terrific United States of America. I really do appreciate the support that is out there. And again, for all of those that are going through challenging times, understand, I do hope that it is a temporary situation for you. Just keep driving forward. You will find that joy. God bless you all so much. And again, IWF, thank you for all of the wonderful work that you do for all of us. We truly do appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator.
Make them squeal.
I will.
I had to get that line in there.
That's my favorite line, Amber.
That was fun.
That was a great time with her. She is the best senator.
Yeah.
And Amber, you're so right about her team. Her team is so, they're just, anytime you go in there, there's the popcorn machine going. They know your name. They've got people coming in and out to shake hands, and back in the old days to shake hands, maybe not right now, but it's just a great team. And they're doing so much work, so much good work.
I also love how much you can tell that she loves her constituents. She seems like she's really in Washington to help her constituents, which sometimes is not the case on the Hill. And I think I was reading something that she published recently, or not recently, when we interviewed her back in 2018 for our Champion Women series. Yes. Charlotte, who writes those for us, asked her, said something like, so how do you like Washington? And she said, I like it so much that I go back to Iowa every single weekend. And I think she made the point that you're not going to know what your constituents want unless you're actually there talking to them. And I think she's real, which I think is really, really refreshing nowadays.
That's so true.
I agree. You know, it was interesting that she talked so much about having respect for your constituents, because I truly believe that she lives that every single day. So often, elected officials, they have passion for what they do, but they don't necessarily have compassion for their the people they are elected for. And she really embodies both having passion and compassion, and I really liked that. So
actually, I love that. That's a great quote. I love that. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So Andy, do you want to tell folks about the autographed copies? And then Ashley, maybe we can tee someone up to come up on stage if we have somebody.
that sounds great.
Yes, well, book club members, don't forget that later on in the next few minutes, as the discussion comes to a close, we're going to be giving away 3 autographed copies of the book. And it is, as you can hear, a wonderful book, Daughter of the Heartland. And my ode to the country that raised me. But we've got 3 signed copies for 3 of our lucky members.
And don't forget, everyone, if you're interested in coming up on stage in the chat room with us, make sure to put a capital V next to your chat comment or question. We want to pull you guys up. We want to talk with you about the book, the questions that you might have, or what you thought about the book. We really appreciate you guys joining us today and really getting into the meat and bones of what the senator had to say in Daughter of the Heartland.
Do we have anybody to bring up? Do you see anybody?
I don't see anyone at the moment.
Okay.
Now, we did have some really interesting questions. And, you know, some of the questions that the readers had, I myself had about military experience. And you know, it's interesting. Some of the viewers in the chat room are even saying they can't come up. They're in PJs.
Fair enough. The first time my hair's been down in over a month, so I feel the pain.
It's raining out here, so you know I might want to be in my PJs too. But I thought the senator's talk about her military experience, that really, really resonated with me. And while I did not have any military experience, I really respect those in our military who just have a love for our country and a duty to protect it every single day. That was something that I took away from this book, making sure that those who serve in the military they're giving their lives every single day. I don't know. What do you guys think about everything she had to say?
Well, I second that, Ashley, about the military experience. And I wish she had, you know, if we had one more question with her, I wanted to ask her, you know, how scared were you when you were driving and hauling supplies, you know, when she was there during the war and doing that? It really, I couldn't put the book down through that chapter. I think actually like 2 chapters. But, you know, I thought to myself, here is this young woman from Iowa, you know, by her own admission, had not seen a ton of the world. And she, you know, just had this call to serve. And then she's over there, as many women are, overwhelmingly with men. And I loved hearing the stories of camaraderie and respect, you know, between the men and women. You know, they're you're on the same side there, you know, and there's such that team effort. And I really enjoyed those couple chapters. And I loved how seriously she took the decision when she finally had to give up her military service, you know, when it just became too much when she was in Washington. And you could just tell, I mean, her heart was torn. And I also love the fact that her daughter is now at West Point. You know, it's in the blood there. And thank goodness for people like that.
Yeah. She needs to go on tour with her daughter. I find her daughter to be so interesting, and how she supports her, I think, is just, it's beautiful. Their relationship seems very close.
I love that. So I'm reading the chat room, and Rita D, she talks about how that she hasn't read the book yet, but she just got it today and she's so excited to read it. You know, Rita, thank you so much. I know there's many other women who are just like you who have decided to view the senator's comments first. I've been there myself. There's been other comments or other discussions where I haven't necessarily read the book, and you don't need to read the book, you know, to join in for book club. I mean, all you need is a good bottle of water, glass of wine, cup of tea, right? And a choice to discuss, you know?
Right.
Oh, I love this. Deborah T. I'm gonna pull Deborah up. She wants to hear about women's suffrage and the 100-year celebration coming up next month in August. And I'm really excited. IWF and our sister site, IWV, have really worked together to do a lot of work on women's suffrage. Amber, hi, Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi. Hi, girls.
Thanks for
From
joining.
Oregon.
Thank you for joining
Yes.
us. So
Yes.
I'm going to let Amber talk a little bit about the Women's Suffrage Centennial.
I mean, it's a
And
big deal.
It is, and some of the work that
very big deal.
IWF has been doing, and what our thoughts are.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, it's funny. We had planned on having an event, but with COVID and restrictions in DC and you know, everything that goes along with that, we've had to postpone that for now. I will say I've been working hard. Charlotte Hayes is one of our staff members. She wrote profiles for different suffragists, and we highlighted 12 of them. And we just actually finished the final edits on a book that's going to be published in time for the Centennial. It's a short book, but I'm super proud of it, and we'll be sharing it far and wide. So that's one thing we have going on. And I know communications has a lot more going on too. It's definitely a big celebration.
And you know, IWF, we are the CEO of our sister organization, Independent Women's Voice, Heather Higgins. She actually served on the Women's Suffrage Centennial Committee, the planning committee, who are working on events around the country that they've been putting forward, events and media and other activities to celebrate this centennial throughout the year. And I believe in the chat room, they have posted a little bit. And then last but not least, I know that our organization, we partnered with the great Senator Marsha Blackburn to help.
Yes.
Yeah, we pushed out a centennial coin. So a coin was actually minted.
Is that the book she and her daughter wrote?
Yes, that's great.
Yes. And if you haven't
it.
seen, yes, Camilla can vote. The senator, she just wrote a new children's book along with her daughter to really push out and talk about the meaning and the history behind women's suffrage and why we will be celebrating both August 18th and August 26th. So,
very cool.
Where are you from? Where are you
I'm
visiting
in
us?
Central Oregon.
Oh, nice.
And I'm actually the president of the Central Oregon Republican Women. And we're actually having a guest speaker who's coming in as Abigail Scott Dunaway. She's reenacting a time in history. And she actually has a trunk that has memorabilia that made it across the Oregon Trail that she owns. And so
Very cool.
It's going to be an amazing event to have her just kind of bring to life what those women went through. Abigail Scott Dunaway lost her husband, ended up with, he was injured in a farm equipment accident. And so she was kind of the soul. It's an amazing story. So we're excited to bring that to our local area. And Oregon's been on the spotlight a lot. Portland, not too far away.
Right.
It's been crazy.
How far is that from you?
I'm about 2.5 hours from there, but
Okay.
I grew up in that area. So it's pretty sad to see.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
yes,
It was great to be on your guys' book club.
yes, Debbie, thank you. What did you think about the book?
Oh, it was awesome. I didn't read through the whole thing, but I definitely need to do the audio, because it's hard to sit down for very long periods of time and actually read a lot.
Yeah.
So I need to do the audio. Where did you get the audio through?
I got it through
Audiobooks.
audiobooks. Yeah. And I will say,
Okay.
I now have a yellow lab that requires a lot of walking. And so Senator Ernst joined us for many miles. But I will say, listening to her read the story, same with Nikki Haley's book that we did prior.
Yeah.
Something about hearing the person read it in their own voice.
Yes.
It really makes the book special. You can hear the emotion in her
Yes.
voice. She got choked up a couple times, rightly so.
Yes.
So it made the book really real for me. So I would recommend that.
And she does have a great voice for that.
Totally
anyway.
does.
So very easy to listen to and
Soothing.
very articulate. So
Yeah.
thank you, ladies, for all that you do. I love being on here.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you,
All right.
Debbie. Have a good one.
I love this live interaction.
Like that. That's fantastic. I think we're going to be celebrating the 100th Centennial through the rest of the year, frankly. You know, it's not just August, but I love that we'll keep going, I think, easily into 2021.
Yeah. And just for those of you, I did mention the book that we're going to be publishing. We're also going to have a digital copy available too. So we'll be sure to share it with all of you that are joining today. I'm really excited about that publication. And I have to say too, I don't think we told everybody that we have merchandise on our website for the Centennial, like a t-shirt and a few other things that you can buy to celebrate. So
I'm pulling one other person. Savannah, hi, how are you?
Hi,
I'm
Savannah.
good. How are y'all?
You read the book?
I did. Well, I listened to it.
You listened to it as well. Yes, and I'm going to see if I can pull one other guest up very quickly. Rita, because I want to hear from you guys what you thought about today, and if you really enjoyed what the senator had to say, what you thought about the book, and any other thoughts you might have. Savannah, go ahead.
Sure. I thought the book was really powerful. I mean, I listened to it on Audible, and there were some moments when she was talking about the rape that she survived, as well as domestic violence, where she got really choked up. And it was just really powerful because you could tell that, like, you know, there was just a lot of power in her voice. But I thought the book was great. It was easy to read, but also challenging and made you think about things in a lot of ways. And I really liked her point about not defining yourself by like adversity that you've experienced in your life. But overall, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's fabulous to hear. Rita, what did you have to think about the senator's comments today?
I'm glad I got to come on to hear her. And we're kind of girlfriends in a weird way, because that's weird, you know, when it's your senator, but you're like, hey, we get along and we have similar backgrounds. So, and I'm really here, I'm her constituent. But I remember before she was our senator.
Oh,
and
that's fantastic.
She's just an amazing lady. And you always wanted to give virtual hugs, because when you're in the public eye like she is, and then having to go through all that, and you know how the media are. So, you know, it just makes us the patriots, and I am a Republican, but it makes us like, we protect our people, and you know, we know that the world is going to be the world, but she really is that cool and that nice. And nobody pays me to say this stuff, but I know she's getting the work done for the Iowans. I just know she is. And I read stuff, it's so cool, like, you know, as they put measures forward, and then I'll like see it, like she didn't say it because you can't imagine how much legislation, but the thing they're doing about the homeless veterans, I just read that yesterday, and I was like, well, there's my senator's name with those other senators, is that we should be taking care of our veterans. So I mean, this is weird. I'm not related to her or anything, but I'm really proud of her.
Well, no, I love to hear that. And, you know, she spent a good portion of the book. You just picked up a hard copy today from the bookstore. I love to hear that. She really, really described Iowa very well. And, you know, it was interesting because even though she's talking about the farmlands of Iowa, and at the same time, I felt very similar, you know, similarities to where I grew up, between the farmland, the FFA chapters, only having a Kmart. You know, that was the one shopping store we had where I grew up. So there were such, you know, similarities, whether you're in Midwest Iowa or if you're in, you know, the Eastern Shore of Maryland. So, you know, those really, it can be the same. And I think she did a really great job explaining it. So thank you all both for joining us today. I'm going to kick you guys off and we're going to finish up. Have a good one.
You know, as they were sitting there, I was just, I was thinking that it's interesting to me that Senator Ernst said that she wasn't ever planning on sharing all of the things that have happened to her, but because her husband forgot to check that box that it should be sealed, it was out for the world to see. And I guess it would have been a good question to ask her, but I think it's interesting that by him making that mistake, I think it's brought her like so much freedom and opportunities, and it just goes to show you it doesn't pay well to be quiet necessarily. It's good to talk about your struggles, and like the woman that was just on, she feels like she's her sister. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons that she may feel that way, and I think it's such an inspirational book in that regard, that she actually opened up and has made a lot of people feel like they're sisters, right? She's real.
Yeah.
And especially, when she's talking about domestic violence or being, a rape survivor, we know that most people aren't going to share that and not share it easily. And so when you see a woman, a gutsy woman, like Senator Ernst talking about it, it just makes you feel that much more comfortable that it happened to you, and, it's not your fault, and you can talk about it. This does go on, and to have the courage to come forward. I think she had it, and I think she's given so many other people just some freedom, in living there.
Yeah.
Being one of the few female senators there are, she really talks about putting up a shield and the armor and being that strong force. But if anything, I think it's actually her vulnerability, and since the divorce coming through is showing how vulnerable she can be, that's actually made her more powerful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And someone who is a sister or a confidant, or someone you can see as being a real person, because elected officials are, at the end of the day, real people. They're mothers, sisters, brothers, friends.
Yeah. Jody G over here agrees with me. I think a lot of people think that what they go through is just them. So opening up about difficult situations helps us all feel not so alone or unique. And I think Joni really helped a lot of women feel comfortable talking, which I think is great. Another really neat part of the book I thought was, that when she found out that her husband was having an affair, when it went out in the news, and she went to work, and it was early in the morning, and she was, horrified, as anyone would be. And, her staff said, you don't have to answer any questions from the media. And so she walked out of her office terrified at what she was going to face. And all of those, as much as we say we have issues with the media, at that moment, it seems that all of them had respect for her and just watched her walk by. I have to say, I sort of teared up at that part too, because I can't imagine the vulnerability that she felt. And to have that happen, I thought was a really neat moment.
And you know what she had said earlier too, you can't control what might happen to you, but you can control your reaction. And I think, you get to that point and she's humiliated and she's angry, but, to walk by and then think this was done to me, and I can react in a certain way. And I'm going to own how I react going forward. That's on him. And I'm moving forward, for myself and my daughter. And unfortunately, at the time, she has to do it in the public spotlight, but I think she's done it beautifully.
She really has. Yeah, so we want to hear about your favorite part of the book. We have a few minutes here, and then we're going to do the drawing for the 3-book giveaway. But if anyone wants to share what their favorite part was, feel free. We're watching over here. There's also a few polls going on over on the polls tab, if you haven't seen those, asking what time of day you would typically want the book club, if this works for everybody. So feel free to vote over there if you'd like it on a different day.
And it looks like right now 100% of the people who answered the poll enjoyed reading the book.
Hey, that's good. Chances are you wouldn't. I love it.
So I really appreciate the group today. And I think with that, why don't we do the collection?
Why don't we do that? Who's announcing those? Ashley, you want to announce, or Andy, do you want to announce the winners?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? We have 3 copies.
I'm looking for your names right now. Let's see. Ashley, you may have them. I don't know if I have the names in front of me.
We just did a random drawing, and the winners are Jody Gordon, Jennifer Harris, and Whitney Mason. Congratulations, Jody, Jennifer, and Whitney. You are this month's winners of the signed book. I will get with you offline to go ahead and connect with you so we can mail you copies of Daughter of the Heartland, My Ode to the Country That Raised Me by Senator Joni Ernst. Congratulations, ladies.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. Give them to your mom or sister or brother or so from looking at the guest list today, we have a lot of new names joining us. So I just want to take like 15 seconds to introduce you all to Independent Women's Forum. We are dedicated to developing and advancing policies that aren't just well-intended, but actually enhance people's freedom, choices, and well-being. We'd love to have you more involved with IWF, so please visit our website at iwf.org and sign up to receive the latest news, updates, and events from IWF. My colleague should have just shared a link to sign up, actually, so make sure you go and do that. So with that, I think we're ending a few minutes early, but I hope that you all had a good time today, and thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed it. Ashley, we have another event coming up in a couple days. Do you want to tell them about that?
We do. If you haven't registered already, we are starting a new section called Author Chats, and our first author chat will be next Tuesday, August 4th, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can sign up to read and discuss a new book called The New Corner Office with author Laura Vanderkamp. She will talk about tips, tricks, and techniques to help you for working from home. And I'm very, very excited to have that discussion and author chat. It will be with IWF's Policy Director, Hadley Manning. She will be just leading the discussion, and it's going to be a really, really good time and talk about how to manage your time more effectively, especially now that we have a large group that is working from home every day, and we see more people shifting from the office to their home office, especially now with COVID.
Right. That's great. Well, we hope you all had a good time today, and thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe, and from all of us at Independent Women's Forum, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.